So I wanted to have this conversation because I see a lot of people speaking on it, but I'm finally seeing a couple of creators crossing over into some of the territory in which I've been looking and researching, where people really don't get the whole thing of history repeating itself, or look to another country that maybe tried what you did and see if it worked. Such as Rome and stuff like that. No, but a lot of people don't do their research. They don't know history. And the most educated group of people, I say that in quotations, seem to not learn from history. And so a lot of people say, look to China, look to Asia or whatever for the future. And I'm going to correlate it in the later part of this video if I get to it, because I'm going to start with this video to show where we currently are in the Western world, and then do a comparison to what's happening in China, etc., which we're going to the same rules. We're getting some of the same stuff. And socially in Asia, they tried a lot of these same things, but it seems like their cycle seem to have reaped the situation. Like the situation seemed to play out a lot faster over there than over here, or maybe they started earlier. I'm not sure, but we're gonna talk about this, and then we're gonna discuss it, because people act like the CIA, FBI, etc. I mean, the CIA and all of these other propaganda machines, like they don't go run operations on populations and or learn from what other people did. You know, cause and effect. You do these things in society, make women act this way, what happens, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all to monetize the companionship, and it's to monetize reproduction in a way that the system can 100% control it. Like something of men, Children of Men, like that movie where all the people couldn't have kids anymore. Yeah, people act like this stuff is not happening, but they're doing it socially first, because chemically they've already done a lot, but socially is where everything changes. The power of of socially changing people really underestimate it. So I haven't watched much of this. We're going to jump in on the conversation and see what's going on.
I want to get married because that's really what I want, or do I want to get married because that's what society says you feel like I should be doing by a certain point in my life. Right. And if I don't do it, I'm a failure. So right now, me and my therapist is digging into it.
And I just want to point this out real quick, that you can see a lot of women really don't believe in the Bible, because everything that they seem to want to do or preach has nothing to do with the Bible, and always has something to do with self-worship and self-gratification, because that sounds all fine and nice and fancy whenever people say, oh, well, I'm going to live my life like this and I'm going to live my life like that. But then it gets crazy because we're going to assume that most of these people, because I don't believe most people are believers. No, I don't, because they don't walk and talk and act the way a believer does. But I will say that the most of the American population, especially when it comes to black women, claim to be believers and in the church, but openly do everything opposite of what the Bible actually preaches. Now, what type of church that they go to and has the wrong message is another conversation in itself. But overall, these women don't follow anything in scripture, and you can tell because none of their guidelines have anything to do with that. Because when you take reproduction out of sex, it just becomes for pleasure, and that's abusing a system that's for something else. Because technically, if you aren't trying to have kids, you're not trying to have family, you really don't need to indulge in sex, correct? And this is just I'm just logically speaking, because these, a lot of these people also think that they're morally sound. But so you don't need sex if you're not going to be married, you're not going to do whatever. But a lot of these women seem to love sex, but they don't want commitment. They don't want a husband. They don't want to submit to a husband. They don't want to submit to a higher power, and they don't want to submit to scripture. So what we're really hearing is, as I said before, everything is about their own self-gratification and fulfillment. It has nothing to do with actual purpose. And that's what they're not ever getting, because like a 12-year-old, they think, hey, well, candy tastes good, so I just want to eat candy for the next 5 days. And so if a adult was to allow them to just eat candy for the next 5 days, they wouldn't think about the repercussions. They wouldn't think about the nutritional, the nutrition that they're missing. They wouldn't even think about the cavities. What a lot of these women do is just literally just blindly do things just because it sounds cool, it's in. They see some woman with money that came out of somewhere, and they just believe everything that these people say. The boss chick can say, hey, I do this and I do that. They don't need no proof. They just need to see her with a couple of bags, a purse, and that's it. And this is where all of these women all line up to be just like the celebrities, just like the sellouts. It's crazy because none of it makes any sense. They claim they want men, but they don't listen to men. They hate men, and they even submit to a system that openly bashes and tries to make men subservient, which is against the nature of men. None of it makes sense. None of it adds up. Let's continue.
But
this is an excuse that these leftover women use when they realize that they can't keep a man to save their life. They started saying things like, oh, do I really want to get married? Oh, women don't benefit in marriage. Like the video I posted earlier today, y'all can go check that out.
It's always about side skipping accountability, because I've had this conversation too about how they lie about saying that men benefit more. I literally just had a conversation with this, and I had to cut this chick off because she used to subscribe to feminism, but I've noticed a lot of women that do, they don't have a really high intellect, nor do they know how to correlate different situations and make sense of things. The reason why they didn't even think fully about what they're talking about, being a feminist, hating men, but then wanting a man, and wanting a man that's, actually masculine and acts like a man. But point being, a lot of them will claim that men benefit from marriage, and then you say in which ways, because in divorce the woman benefits. In the marriage, the man's not getting protected, the man's not getting provided for, the man's not getting sex when he wants it, the man's not getting submission, that most men are not getting food on the table even 3 times a day, 1 time a day. So what are we getting? Because it's your body, it's your choice. If you lie on me, it doesn't matter. You can literally do dirt the entire marriage. Everybody will be on your side. Society will be on your side. The parents will be on your side. Everybody will assume that you're right. I have to jump through hoops to prove myself wrong. So what benefit do I get in a marriage? The only benefit I get is wanting to be a father and being able to have kids, and hoping and praying that the woman I'm with doesn't decide to burn it all down because she doesn't agree with something down the line. There is no benefit to marriage when it comes to men, other than them being able to explore the possible potential of living the way that we're supposed to, and the way that we actually want to. Because you only hear women saying that they want to make a man subservient, not care about anything that he has doing, not care about anything he has to say, wants to disrespect him, wants to have her own career, wants him out of her face, but always ready to serve her. That's only women saying that. And when I say only women saying that, literally only women saying that. Literally, it's not socially acceptable for a man to openly say something like that, even if a man wanted to. And of course, the woman's probably going to go dig something up. I don't care. We're talking about the general population. Of course, people don't understand this concept, but we're talking about what's the norm in society. If you say, hey, somebody was out and they got R-worded on the street, you're not going to assume it's a woman. You're going to assume it's a man. That's the norm. So we're going to miss me with all the gymnastics and all that stuff. And on this channel, I don't care about your mental gymnastics. We're going to talk about what's the norm, what most people do, and most people aren't of quality. Let's be real. And this is why there should be few teachers, few leaders that are correcting the majority, the masses that are the followers. And unfortunately, people are following the wrong people and following the wrong information.
And when she's talking about, oh, women don't benefit from marriage because they gotta wash, cook, and clean. Yeah, excuses leftover women make.
And that's the thing. They always lie about the cooking and the cleaning and the slave mentality. That don't you do that in your personal life? You see how childish that is? You're doing pretty much women use this lie that men are the only ones that benefit from marriage, or they are, or whatever, or even it's an equal benefit, when it's not. When it boils all down to it, everything these women do, or everything these women sacrifice, is everything that they already do in their personal life, or if they were single. So you can't say, oh, I'm risking my life to have a baby, if you already would do that in your single life. That doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't make any sense. Sorry, literally everything is happening while I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do. But yeah, that doesn't logically make any sense, because anytime I have this discussion, I said, you women aren't sacrificing anything. You women are actually getting, in a lot of times, more help, more leadership. You have a shoulder to lean on. So you have all of these things. You're manipulating that man to give you what you want, so that you stay there, because, you know, happy wife, happy life, all this other BS, right? So you get everything that you want, and the man is trying to piece together what he's trying to build. And so while that happens, he's the one giving the majority of the time. Because remember, in this society, everything a woman does is optional, even her wifely duties. She can have a ring on her finger. You can blow all the money in the world. But if she's not happy and amused, she can do whatever the heck she wants. She can leave you. She can get the court on your side. And all that plays out is she benefited from the situation. She benefited from all the work that you put in and all this stuff. Because if she wanted to be single, right, and still not do her chores and normal duties, then she would need to pay for a maid, which most of them are not doing. Most of these women will have a baby from a random dude all the time, but they won't say that's a risk. But all of a sudden in a marriage, it's a risk. And the crazy part is, you know, at least when they're with a guy, he's there with her during the pregnancy and all of this other stuff. Of course, they're gonna sit here and give us a whole story about how a dude that they picked, that they didn't red flag, but they red flag everybody else, about how he did all this and that. I don't care about your poor choices of picking the normal guy that you all like to pick so you could become the victim or whatever. But that's not the norm. So it's just crazy when you do all of these things, but you see the norm for all of them to promote these same things that are not a risk when it's for a paycheck. It's not a risk when you want to put a man on child support. It's not a risk when you want to go trap a guy. But it's a risk all of a sudden when you have a husband. It's all of a sudden a risk when someone already wasted money on and time on you, taking you on a date, doing this and that. But it's not a risk then. And like I said, I try to not be so long-winded, because a lot of these conversations bring up points I want to make. But, you know, let's continue.
When they reach a certain age and no man don't want them, they don't have no options, they can't keep a man, they're like, oh yeah, well, marriage, ew, who wants that?
And that's another thing I will say real quick. Women will lie and have a delusion to feel safe, even at the detriment of themselves and everybody around them. That's the difference between a man and a woman. So a man does what's needed and necessary in order for life to continue and push forward, while women will decide to do whatever they want because of whatever they feel like, at the detriment of anybody. The reality could literally be, hey, my everybody that I'm attached to, that I'm responsible for, etc., is about to be homeless, etc. But hey, I feel sad, or I feel like I don't want to do this or that for a man. So now all of a sudden, you know, I'm not going to provide, or I'm not going to do this. And they'll let themselves and their kids be on the street. They'll go leave the man that they're in a stable relationship with to go work 80 hours and then be ran through. No logic, but continuing.
She's not ready. You're just now digging it. Hold on a second.
That too, that part.
How old are these two?
I think they're in their early 30s.
Whoa. Whoa.
They're like they just hit the wall.
Drea Nicole is 35 years old. 35 years old. And I believe that's the one that just spoke. And Lex P is 36.
I will say for the past, in my time,
and women are the only ones who will take all of the information, all of the tips from career losers. What do you mean career losers? You got a bunch of women that are married, right? You got a bunch of women that have been married for a long time, if you want to count that as doing something, right? They don't get advice from that. They get advice from the woman that can't find a man. They get advice from the women that change with the stereotypes. Oh, date this gangster. Oh, I was dating a gangster when it was cool, and now it's cool for nerds to be in. So now I'm going to be doing that too. Like that, literally don't learn. That's why I said, if you notice, no pattern recognition, no survivability. There's nothing new. They don't gain any knowledge, and they're too old to be someone for you to be listening to. Like that's just crazy. You're literally listening to somebody, their entire career, their entire life is a failure. How many men have you slept with but you didn't have to wife you, right? So if we even did a ratio of how many times you've even been asked that, but how many times you spread your legs, a lot of y'all would be looking crazy. But you try to compare that to men, but men have to earn every win that they get. So that's why I said there is no correlation, there is no comparison.
That they were this old based on their podcast and how they talk and how they just act very immature and when they say certain things. I didn't know that they were this old. But then again, Sister Shahara Ali said black women don't be maturing past the age of 14. So we basically.
And the funny thing is, I totally agree. And what I like about this woman is because she's actually intelligent, because she actually comprehends. When a man is critiquing a certain group of people, just because the majority of them do it, doesn't mean we're talking about all of them. And it doesn't mean it's an insult to her directly if she makes sure she doesn't fall into that category. That's the difference between a catch and a basic. All the women want to be basic, but they trying to be the catch. No. The only thing you're going to catch is being the same person, being an NPC, and catch and end up being alone and catch feelings, because now those are the same women telling women other things to corrupt them and give them worse chances just because they ruined their chances. And that's another thing that men don't seem to do as a community.
And I 2 14-year-olds, so
I didn't really care about getting married. Then I don't know, when I turned 30, I had this epiphany and I was like, oh, I need to get married. Like I have.
She literally called it the epiphany phase. Whoa. If you don't know what that is, just go search epiphany phase. You can go look up epiphany phase. Chisha Zed. You can go look up epiphany phase. Anything online, you're going to find some explanations. That's crazy. She literally called, someone can explain it down below. She literally called it the epiphany phase. I'm
going to say this. You can tell someone isn't intelligent if they said it was an epiphany that told them that something that should have been common sense, or it was an epiphany of something that their actual scripture tells them that they claim a lot of times, or it was an epiphany when they found out that the same stupid mistakes that they keep doing and the same stupid stuff where they keep looking at each other messing up and they keep falling behind each other. It took an epiphany to tell them, hey, you know how we keep running red lights and getting pulled over? Yeah, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do that. Oh, wow. There's laws against that. We've seen from time and time again, we get in trouble. So how about this? We only go when there's a green light. Oh, it's an epiphany. All the stuff that wasn't working going against me, now I'm going to try something new. And a lot of times it's not even the right answer. That's why I said a lot of them aren't as intelligent as they think they are. You can be specialized in a job, meaning cleaning toilets and stuff. You can be the best at that. You can be the best at putting a chip together, right? An actual chip. But that doesn't make you intelligent. That makes you programmed or trained. Most of these women are programmed or trained. They aren't doing anything that's new. They aren't doing anything creative. And when you're talking about intelligence, you should be problem solving. And most of them don't solve problems. They seem to run into them and run towards them all the damn time.
Run away, bro. I'm still here. I did not expect to be still here.
Find my husband.
Oh, and by the way, you usually see men less than half their age see all of the mistakes that they make and literally learn and not do that at an earlier age. You see way more men catch on to really basic concepts, to even complex concepts, seemingly a lot quicker than the people that supposedly are so educated and supposedly that mature so fast and supposedly are so intelligent. Like I said, all of these things go against what they do. Is it smart to follow behind somebody and do everything that they do, especially if they're not getting success in that area? No, but that's what the general black woman most of the time does.
What the epiphany phase is in his term, but what I am going to assume is that they hit the wall and they realize that then, and it's usually in their 30s. They always hit the wall in their 30s. That's why it breaks my heart to see older women encourage younger girls to waste their time, to explore yourself. Find yourself in your 20s. Don't settle down in your 20s. Though they know that in their 30s and in their 40s and worse, their 50s, it's so hard to find a man.
And you see, the worst part is that as you see, not only are they didn't learn, but you see how, as I said before, why is it that women aren't smart enough by the majority, right, to see other women doing the same thing that they're doing, running down, like they literally can have a snapshot, right, of the success of all of these celebrities and stuff. They have all the information, Wikipedia, how many, and they still don't learn. They literally always line up to follow some loser. And loser by reality, not loser in what they call a loser. Because like I said, it seems to be that a win for them is to keep doing the same thing until they're tired or they hit so many brick walls that there's no more options to do what they're doing. Because that's really what they're doing. They a lot of them have ran their options so dry, they have ran to where there are no more options. And you got to admit, you got to be kind of you got to be kind of remedial, right, to run out of options when it comes to problem solving. And I can't really think of many things that I even ran into that I could have messed up that many times and at that extent. But a lot of these women seem to do that in the most important areas of their life.
A man of value, a good man, but they're encouraging young girls to waste their time. Logic wouldn't tell you to say, Dan, I wish I had spent my 20s preparing myself to be a wife, being in the room so I can potentially meet my husband. Nobody's saying get married, but be in certain situations where you can meet your husband instead, or be.
And this is the thing, you can tell what they don't take seriously because they put working for the Mayo Man, these companies and stuff, they put that on the pedestal because they're throwing everything that they should be putting on a pedestal to the back burner. When I was a young man, I was trying to find the qualities and everything that I needed to become a dad and a father. I wasn't worried. Everything else could follow and repeat and get placed. So I could be a dad, right? I could have a career here or a career there. It depends on what fits in my life because my goal is to be a father. So that's why I made sure that I put my eggs in the basket to be most successful at what I wanted at the end. That's most important, and actually it's actually real and tangible, not some job that someone told me to do and trained me to do because I have more importance and significance than I'm guessing a lot of these women that make those decisions.
Single. Do not even try to and this is why I use my channel to encourage young ladies. I think 10 years ahead. And let's be
real. We're glad that a lot of them didn't procreate because they couldn't learn something that previous generations messed up on time and time again, and it was recorded in history. So that's pretty pathetic, honestly speaking.
If you're 23 now, think how you want your life to look at 33 and move accordingly, because what you do now determines how tomorrow is going to look. You can't just wake up at 31 and say, you know what? I'm ready to be a wife, with no wife skills, with no prospect, with no way to prepare yourself. You weren't putting yourself out there to be picked. But then no, you think at 30 you just will wake up one.
And let's be real, a lot of women don't think on deep enough levels too. Because even if you qualify and you become a wife, it's a continuous thing of improvement. And you're still competing because, naturally speaking, a lot of women get lazy when they get those rings. So and it's like divorce rate is high. So a lot of women are sitting here shooting for a 1% spot even in the dating market. Because, as I said before, being an actual successful wife and mother is still few and far in between. So it gets really deep when you start really thinking about it, because, like I said, these women will be on the job training. They'll do all this stuff, jumping through hoops when it's something selfish, when it's something self-serving. But when it has anything to do with responsibilities, accountability, or, learning, like actual learning in life, it's not there. You can ask them about how to put in extensions. You can ask them all this stuff, makeup, all that stuff. But when you ask them simple things or things that they should know in the Bible that they claim that they read, they don't know it.
They can go to the husband store and be like, I want this one on this shelf. Yeah, okay.
I'm not having kids unless I get married. And then now at 35, I'm kind of back in a space of trying to figure out if it's really what I want. Because I think when people look at marriage.
And by the way, I know this is going to strike some nerves, but I don't care. We're also talking about women who are so mature and so responsible. Then when they have these kids, mostly not in a marriage, right? They start naming their kids after materialistic things. Jordans, Porsche, Lexus. You just be like, y'all are so basic, right? You don't even want to let that man name a child that y'all created, and you don't even have a new concept for it. The only thing you can think about is probably what you're going to buy with the money that you're going to put that man on child support with. I'm just being real.
They don't look at all of what it really entails. It looks good on social media. Yeah. The nice wedding is great. Being with this person and y'all look good together and y'all got great chemistry, all of that stuff is amazing. But it's so much more that goes into marriage. It's for real.
And I wanted to speak on that real quick. Most of the ones that you see propped up, perfect and pretty, those be the fakest marriages, fakest relationships, the biggest blowouts, because real people don't do that. Actors do. Real people don't do that. Fronters do. Real people don't do that except for scammers. So I've noticed a lot of people in fake relationships, or regardless of relationships that weren't started on an actual good baseline, they all do that. Real happy people, they're not busy trying to impress people. They might do what they need to stay, in their career field and stuff like that. Because me personally, I wouldn't even be on social media if I was able to just make everything I did. It didn't involve dealing with other people and things of that nature in social media. It would be less of a headache. But we have to do these things in order to provide for our families and stuff, in order to stay connected and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for that, a lot of us wouldn't be on it. But as you see, a lot of these people, their entire lifestyle is about making themselves look a certain way.
Rapport, it's in sickness and in health. Sometimes you gotta know when to shut the up. Being honest.
Yeah. Can you do that? I mean, that's the one that she stops.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, most women claim they can, and that's a lie. Because as I always say before, I've seen all these women deal with terrible relationships, terrible jobs, terrible coworkers, terrible friends, people that say stuff rude to them, people that say stuff rude to them in their face. And the only person they got a short fuse for is their man, because they know he's a punching bag, because according to society, he's supposed to bend to everything that she does and her emotions, so she could just do whatever the hell she wants. And most women, they always claim that they have self-control, but they only have self-control usually when it's a paycheck coming from a company, or, as I said before, the man. I'm just being real, because at the end of the day, it's all based upon them being trained by supremacy to be the ultimate destruction to the community, and to tear us specifically down, but then also to tear themselves down and then create broken homes and broken children, because that's what they successfully do in and out of relationships, marriages, etc., because they always go back to default programming.
Times you got to know to shut up. Sounds like that's the deal breaker. I got to get that laugh. You got to get.
Women don't see how weak that makes them look. Like their bond, their relationship, even their marriage, in front of kids as well as the outside parties. Because when you sit there and openly talk back disrespect your husband and stuff like that. You sitting there bucking up and stuff. Like I said, the only time your kids see that is, oh, that's the guy to talk back to. You don't do that out in public. You don't do that out to your boss. You make sure you put dad in his place, because that's what it is at the end of the day. You have such an ego. You can't play your part. You can't play your role. You have to be the superstar. You have to be worshipped. You have to be the one in control, because you're selfish. Because at the end of the day, you really don't want what's best for the family. You want what's best for you and your ego and your emotion and what feels good at that moment.
That last word in.
Women love to get the last word in. Sometimes you just gotta know how to be quiet.
And even to this point, as I said, she's 35.
And then the sad part is, these be the same women, and I'm not co-signing abuse or nothing like that, but be the same ones that it took getting hit behind a washing machine, what they will say, for them to not talk back. And men shouldn't have to do that. But it's really ridiculous that, for when you chose somebody that would have to stoop to that, because a lot of us just want to that's why we don't deal with you, or that's why we will move accordingly, because we see that now that you got a ring and you got the game in your court, right, the ball in your court, that you're going to manipulate it. So it's like, all right, bet. Because like I said, your lack of submission is an insult to me and my existence.
So for 35 years, she has been getting the last word in. For 35 years, she has been this strong masculine. Nobody can tell me. Because her co-host was the one who was like, oh, she gonna pull the car. If I can't find that clip, I will post it right here.
If I get in the car with a nigga and we going on a date, we trying to do something, and you like, I can't find nowhere to park. You ain't no leader, bro. Why are you expressing to me that you can't find no parking spot? Get out the passenger seat, whole ass.
And the funny thing is, you see how extreme that is, right? He protected her. He did all this stuff up to this point, and now all of a sudden he's like I said, the shortest fuse, but she got all the good things to say about this person, that person that don't support her in her everyday life. And this is the thing, a lot of black women always have this. It's like they're just waiting for opportunity to be the most disrespectful, wicked person. And the craziest part is, most of their job is really simple. Hey, be that man's peace. If they literally was saying that, right? So if the guy wants the food, hey, I know his work schedule, his food schedule. Let me make sure this is like this. Let me make sure this is like that. Oh, I'm feeling stressed. Well, a lot of women want to argue with you. Hey, I should make him feel better, etc., etc. His peace. So in this situation, his frustration might have been like, shoot, you don't know, for him to finally like feel comfortable enough to say something like that to you, like you're not some random, female, usually means because the person's comfortable with you. She took that whole thing and said all of this because in her entire relationship, women like that, you have to pretend to be something that you're not. And a lot of times the men that pretended, or if they're stereotypical, that's on them. But regardless, my whole thing is, a lot of men that end up with women like this and they're not happy, it's because they were pretending to get them. They put on the flashy stuff, they put on the stereotypical stuff, they put on the mannerisms. And this is why me myself, I don't preach none of that stuff. I don't do none of that stuff. If you can't just polish your authentic self and present yourself like that and get attraction, then I feel like you have more work to do. A lot of these men, though, a lot of them really don't have experience with women, so they can't articulate this. And a lot of these men are fronters and fakers anyways. This is why they have to lead with their wallet. But an actual man that's a nice, balanced man, he doesn't have to do all of those things in order to get a woman. And he's not gonna get a stereotypical woman because he knows that she's gonna open her mouth like this. I don't even put myself in a situation I don't want to be in. That's what women do. That's why I said a lot of women, they think they're dating masculine men, but those men think and act just like them in a lot of cases. Like, you wouldn't even be there if he wasn't thinking with his lower head, because you got a mouth on you. You ratchet. You dress a certain way. You act a certain way. You have a certain appearance. You hang with a certain crowd because you put on the same face, the same look as that crowd. You're not different. That's why a lot of women don't understand like the whole natural thing, because we also see that that's you. Not only that that's you, you're not a follower. Not only that you're not a follower, you know who you are. You look at yourself every day. You look at yourself. You don't look at the weave, the whatever, whatever sexy red you're trying to be. You see what I'm saying? These other females, they're clones, they're NPCs. That's why I said a lot of people don't get the appearance has a lot to do with the psychology of that person as well.
Nigga, and let me drive. I'ma back this slab in, bitch. You don't know where to. Oh, it's nowhere to park. Oh, like, is there?
And the thing that annoys me too is this is the thing about relationships when it comes to the gender roles and stuff. A lot of people got this wrong as well, because a lot of people are very basic in their mentality and their thinking when it comes to what somebody should do and stuff like that. Because generally speaking, right, a man, his role is usually going to be to provide, protect, and do these things. So a lot of his roles and his jobs are going to be based around those things and what he's familiar with. So if you have a man that's a carpenter, he's not going to be out there pouring cement just because you need a sidewalk built. But if he's a handyman, he might know a little bit of each one of those things, right? And so let's say this guy doesn't, I mean, if his chick drives better than him, I mean, that's kind of whatever. But my whole point is, hey, that's what you pick. But my whole point is, if driving is your thing, you didn't have to demasculate him. You didn't have to talk down unless that's how you really feel, or regardless, you just show what type of woman you are by what you pick or how you talk about somebody, and they aren't like that. But if driving is your thing, just go ahead and just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like cooking. It's just imagine how many men could probably talk junk and say, man, I cook way better than my wife. Get the hell out the kitchen, man. What type of is you? But all those women wouldn't be sitting there clapping and stuff like that. Men would be like, that's crazy, man. Just make the damn food, like, and serve your family. It's all good. Most of us are better cooks than our females, but that doesn't mean you got to be disrespectful. Shoot, I'm like, the funny thing is, my wife actually likes putting stuff together. I let her put stuff together. It's not that I don't know how. I just let her put stuff together. And then at that point, guess what? If you get good at putting stuff together and you're the person that says, hey, you know, I got the tools, I got my little person, so hey, here you go. But when it comes down to what is necessary for me to do, protect, provide, all that stuff, I'm there. All these little minuscule extra stuff, like I said, y'all be making it a situation. Because if y'all was actually together, so like actually one flesh, it would be like your left and your right hand. Your right hand doesn't sit there and bitch at your left hand because it's doing stuff most of the time, because sometimes your left hand assists, sometimes your left hand is doing something. Sometimes your left hand is familiar with stuff that your right hand's not. That's why I said a lot of y'all don't grasp the scripture. Even when it comes to a wife, or even if you get multiple wives, you're supposed to treat them like an extension of you. So if you wouldn't screw your body over, if you wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm more important than you, so I don't need you. That's why it even says we're the body, right? And so that's why I said a lot of people don't grasp these concepts, because they still prescribe to what people are talking about. And also, they're not logically looking at this stuff. And a lot of y'all would not deal with a lot of this stuff if you understood that most people are garbage, most people are trash. And I'm not saying that in a pessimistic way, I'm just being real. How can you be excellent, right, if everybody's excellent? And let's be real, if everybody was doing what they were supposed to, do you think the world would be how it is? If everybody was the most healthy, do you think everybody would look like how they are? If everybody was the most mentally sane and stable right now, do you think there would be so many prescriptions out here and so many types of illnesses and afflictions? If everybody was helping people and so kind-hearted like they were saying they are, all these damn flags up, do you think there would be as many homeless people? Do you think there would be so much trash on the street because people would actually care about how other people feel about it? That's why I said a lot of y'all don't be putting the concepts together. Really think about it. And when you understand reality, it's easier to accept and it's easier to move around these things, because now you don't have to sit there and say, oh, well, society will judge me for thinking the truth is the truth. No, the damn truth is the truth. It is what it is. It's kind of simple. If you don't want to be like everybody else during that phase, don't be like everybody else. At one time, most people were farmers. Now, you probably can't find a farmer. So, like I said, there's certain things that are a norm with society at that time, but you don't got to be a part of it, especially the negative aspects of it. But a lot of people that don't like accountability, that's where they don't grow, because they don't ever learn from what they actually are going through. There's no point in going through these things if you're not growing and learning and able to pass it and articulate these things.
Puss ass nigga. Nigga, you don't know.
I couldn't even date somebody that talks like that.
Oh my God.
And this is the thing. So I used to curse when I was younger, and cuss. Let me use the correct terms. I used to cuss, but it's not even about it being. It is kind of vulgar, because it's and at a certain age it's really ignorant, because I find beauty in how people articulate and say things, because in order to pass on a true wording and all that stuff, a lot of it is, yes, emotion and energy and all that stuff. But when it boils down to it, you should be able to articulate yourself and talk to somebody without using so many crazy words, and actually saying and to insult somebody like that. And that's why I said a lot of these people that we're dealing with aren't intelligent. Don't tell me that you're intelligent just because you learned a job really well. Guess what? There's autistic people that learn everything to the T, but you still wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to put you in a CEO position, because no, they're good at what they do, right? Based upon their mental limitations. But as I said before, everybody has a role and everybody can do what they're good at, but that's what people are not understanding. But when it comes down to this vulgarity, that really shows a lot of your intellect, because at a certain age, you should find more meaning in words, and you should be around people that are using a higher diction. And it's not to sound better than anybody else or anything like that, but words are not only beautiful, it's artistic. This is where a lot of your rappers and your musicians, that's where we find meaning and significance in what they put together. And so when you start to dumb your language down and be around people and stuff like that talk like that and speak like that, that's why you can tell, because that it starts to rub off on them and they become that. But at the end of the day, yes, this is still very low grade conversation, because come on, at a certain age it's just like and then her kids are probably vulgar. Her grandparents are probably vulgar. Like, if she's talking like that, comfortably like that, we know probably everybody she's around talks like that. And that means they're bad influence.
Yeah.
You cannot make this up. So for 35 years, you've been living in your masculinity. And then
guys, I'm running around doing stuff. And I'm putting stuff in my pocket, and my wire sometimes is hitting things. So if you guys see my phone do some crazy stuff, that is not me. That's why I had to look back and look at these reactions to make sure I ain't clicked nothing that I wasn't supposed to. But let me continue.
All of a sudden you think you just want to turn on the switch and be qualified for the kind of man you want? That's the key, to be qualified for him. You can attract him, but can you keep him?
It's just a lot that comes with it, and you have to be okay with compromising a lot.
Yes.
And so I be just asking myself, okay, girl, knowing all of these things.
And let me say this real quick. A lot of men lack discernment when it comes to women, because a lot of it is because they don't have the skill. I don't feel like they openly choose the BS like women do, but I do feel like they aren't as strict or as there's people that know every play, every detail of the players and stuff like that, but they don't know how to discern people. They don't know how to pick up on red flags. They don't know how to do things to find a dating partner, because it's not all the women, but it is most of the time the women. I won't lie, but they don't know how to discern what people are quality, and a lot of that is it's because of what you're paying attention to, or you're not taking enough time into. If you would be more conscious of what you're doing, who you're doing it with, or at least while you're really getting to know this person, really seeing what's an actual red flag. Because if this is my thing, right? At this point in my life, and feminism wasn't as big as it is now, I won't even date a woman or talk to a woman if she says she's a feminist, because I already know that means she's gonna have she's never gonna be submissive. She's always gonna have something to say. She's always gonna have the last word. She's always gonna talk back. She's always gonna feel superior. She's gonna be around people that are toxic. It doesn't matter what she says. It's all about what she does, and her whole programming is gonna be anti-you as a man. And so most women subscribe to a lot of it, but at the end of the day, this is an ungodly woman. Any woman that's into feminism is ungodly, because it's the father and the son, right? And so when you start getting to these people that don't go all the way according to scripture, they have Bible and stuff like that, we're not talking about that. We're going to talk about directly Bible related. If you have something against men, you are against the Most High, and you're against the Son, and you're against his pecking order and his design for the family. Naturally, you already are. Naturally, you're bending scripture. Naturally, you're corrupting scripture. Naturally, you're ignoring scripture. So honestly, you're nothing that I want to deal with, because you're a hypocrite, and get out of my face, because you are a Jezebel, and you're just trying to control the situation using a religion that you don't really believe in. It's all a cosplay. That's why a lot of these women are going to it, because they know a lot of those men have a lot of the boundaries and stuff that they won't cross that a lot of these ungodly men will. And that's why they try to get with godly men. Besides, being it's a plot of the enemy, and demons love this type of stuff, and and women seem to love to corrupt things. It seems like that, because you see it through. I didn't only say that. Even this woman said it. You guys teaching the next generation the wrong things. It's because most of the women's stuff is just toxic, evil behavior, and so this is what you run into a lot. I forgot what I was saying, but let's go.
Do you really feel like you want to be a wife?
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
She's like, do you feel like you want to be a wife? That's it. That's not it. Do you feel like you want to?
Oh, this is what I was saying. So if my end goal is to be with the Most High and do the according to His word, and you have a woman that says, "Oh, I pretty much hate men," and that's the reason why I subscribe to this thought process, because there is no. They say, "Oh, it's about equality and all this other stuff." When you said that you want to make a man equal to you, that's a lie, because you don't feel like everything should be equal, because you feel like I should hold the door for you. You shouldn't hold the door open for me, right? So if you have a feminism mentality, you already are conflicting in your thought process. Nothing is ever going to make sense, and you're always going to bend it to whatever works for you at that moment. Because if you hit me, you're not going to think that I'm going to hit you. So because you're a woman, right? So you don't really believe in equality. You just believe in whatever works for you. So a lot of these women are very deceptive, wicked, controlling, and manipulative. You can't tell me that you're a feminist, but you want to be married and stuff, because that means you just want to manipulate a situation. You want somebody subservient, because a lot of men aren't signing up for what you believe in. You just get in a relationship and you switch up, and no one likes to talk about those situations either. They sit there and talk about the man just cheated. Well, like I said, I've never seen men that was fed, taken care of, physically, sexually, emotionally, physically, and then they say, well, you know what? Everything is just fine. Let me just go cheat. I've never seen that. I've never seen all of these good women who are submissive, virgins, naturally beautiful, relaxed, chill. They get turned down as many times as all these women say, oh, all of these good women out here. I've never seen a guy say, oh man, you know what? She's a virgin and she just reads the Bible too much. It's too chill. That's not good enough for me. I've never seen a guy say, man, you know what? This girl, I have good intentions and she looks innocent, like she's gonna do what's right and she's not out there. You know what? That's not good for me. I've never seen a guy do that. I've never seen a guy say, you know what? That thick girl, she's just covered up. I just can't date her. I gotta go date the 304 that's half naked. I've never seen it. But women will always lie and say that all these good women are being rejected, all these good women. I'm just like, where? I see more single people getting BJs than married people. Because if you get into comments and this subject comes up, why are more husbands talking about the BJs they're not getting? But I can go to whole groups of categories on X-rated sites where there's homemade and scripted stuff, where there's so many BJs just getting done in a whole category, as well as all the other categories just included in the interaction itself. But in married households, husbands aren't getting that. Zero excuses.
Be a wife, or are you a wife? Are you qualified for the kind of man you want because you became a wife? He said, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. You have to be a wife first.
And this is the thing. I've never seen a guy find a woman that does all things right and says, you know what, I'm going to screw her over. I'm going to do this. Because every single time, people don't get a woman could be a good mother and a terrible wife. She could be a terrible wife and I said a terrible mother and a good wife, or a terrible wife and a good mother. Like, people don't get that. You can have a whole situation that works everything else, but it doesn't have intimacy. You can have a whole situation where everything works, but she's disrespectful. You can have a thing that everything works, but she's cheating or he's cheating. You can have everything works, but somebody believes in something else than you do. No one talks about this. You can have a situation where everything works, but you guys had a history where one person did something grimy and someone never got over that. Everything it could seem perfect, but there could be things that's really happening that no one can speak on. So no one wants to talk about these subjects in this matter. They just love to just say, men just said, hey, I'm getting everything that I need and everything that I require, everything that I signed up for, because, that's always the lie too, because these women love to say, oh, they were doing everything right. They were pleasing this man, all this other stuff, but he just decided to say, hey, I'm just going to betray the person that I care for, and I moved into my house and I trust with this, and I let do all these things and I had kids with. Like, none of this stuff makes any sense. But like I said, whenever you let women tell it, that's how the story always sounds. But it seems like men are actually more truthful, because you'll hear men talking about either side of the coin. But as I said before, there will be an explanation on what was missing from the relationship that was there in the beginning and it wasn't there later, because that seems to always change up with women. The man still protects, the man still provides, the man still does all these things, but the majority of the time, it seems like things that are in the woman's control, she doesn't handle.
And she did not live her 20s as a wife. She did not live her 30s as a wife. And now she's like, oh, do you feel like you want to be a wife? It's not that if you feel like you want to be a wife, is anybody going to pick you to be a wife? That's the question. But, their narcissism wants to make them feel as though, oh, it's my choice. Like, again, the video that I mentioned earlier. Women don't benefit from marriage, so I'm just not going to get married. Narcissism, because nobody not lining up to marry you. Those of us with common sense can see through your BS.
I definitely do want to get married, but I've realized, like, marriage is probably going to look a little different for me.
This is sad.
And I like this comment too. Many of them disqualify themselves solely based on their behaviors and stuff. And this is what a lot of women don't get too. Oh, they passed up on me because they see that you're loose. They see that you're disrespectful. They see that you don't know what you're doing. They see that they could just say, hey, at this point, she's attractive, but we all know that she's just here for the money. So let me just see where we meet, where we both are physically attracted to each other, and then I can bounce. No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about the woman that she doesn't provide nothing but, oh, I just look good. And then the guy sitting there like, okay, so I want somebody that's actually going to help me with my life and build onto it. But I see that we only match with physical intimacy and wanting that. So let's just meet there and just keep it pushing. No one likes to talk about those things, because a lot of these women don't qualify because they don't even have anything to qualify for.
I think she's the one that's 36.
Yeah, shout out to Shisha Shed. I mean, at this point, it's entertainment. It's comedy. You cannot make this up. We do not even. We laugh. Those of us who can see through their BS, we laugh.
Got it!
But anyways, let's see the comment section under this real quick. Somebody said it.
And then I like how this person said, who are these women? The sad part is, it doesn't even matter. You can have any woman that has on some, the stereotypical look or whatever that women like at that time, and she doesn't have to say anything of use, anything of value. She can look like anything, and you will still see the sisterhood supporting it long as it goes under their code of ethics, which is no ethics, say the wrong thing, promote the destruction of your community, supports only do self-worship, don't do anything that scripture says to do everything against that, and only fulfill yourself and what your needs are. Because when it boils down to it, when you're sitting there saying, oh, marriage is just this thing that people just do, as I said before, when I came here, on this planet, and I started really understanding life and stuff, I started thinking to myself, because I actually took my Bible seriously, how do I need to be molding myself to get ready for eternity? And so part of that is living a righteous life and not doing things that everybody else is doing. It says narrows the path. And a lot of people are so delusional, where they don't understand how things cross over and cross over into the real world past the pages, because they're not doing their studying. A lot of these people you don't want to deal with because they're hypocrites anyways. They're liars, they're false claimers, they don't know anything. And so a lot of these people are useless because they don't practice what they preach. And if you are somebody that believes in the Bible and things of that nature, you should already see yourself not dealing with these people. And I'm not saying because some people might be the ones that go to church and still don't get it. And some of the people listening that might just be some of the people that might be into different things. But my whole point is, if you know for a fact that you want to raise your kids a certain way, and your outcome is to be living the way that the Most High said to live, then it doesn't matter what everybody says in society. They're gonna change things as they go. But the scriptures are very clear. The scriptures are very simple, and a lot of these women aren't. And the crazy part is with the scripture is it's funny because it shows you by example. It tells you rules, and it shows you all these things, right? And women that claim that they read the Bible, they still don't pick up on any part of these aspects. Where in the scriptures did it say that this woman cussed her husband out? Where did it say that this woman took charge of her family? Where did it say that this woman was the single mother that the Most High smiled down upon? Where did it say that this single mother passed down a blessing? Where does it doesn't say none of those things. And then for the get-go, it says that a wife was supposed to be a helpmate. The helpmate is not a boss babe. Helpmate is not a CEO. A helpmate, and the funny thing is, you could be a CEO and a helpmate, but that has to do with submission. But most of y'all only submit to yourselves. That's why you don't understand scripture and you don't live by scripture. You don't love your man, because you can't really love your man without submission. So at the end of the day, a lot of women aren't righteous in their dealings. And of course, a lot of women, they're not going to care about this because they don't want accountability. They don't want the truth. But my whole point is, I don't care. The truth is the truth. And a lot of women don't want the truth. But that doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the women that do and the women that are righteous, this is not going to bother them. It's not going to concern them. The best thing is, it's like taking notes. They'd be like, dang, so these men are laying out all this stuff that I can clearly see that's wrong with all of these other women. Okay, don't do this. Oh, okay, don't do that. Oh, okay, don't do this. Oh, okay, so what should I be doing? That's a smart woman. That's a smart woman. All these women listening to these bitter, brainless women talking about this is what a man wants, this and this and this. And then they can't keep a man. They're listening to a bunch of women that have no man by their side. There's no man that would support them at any moment, and ignoring all the women that actually say all the same things that men been saying. Let's not listen to the ones that agree with the men, because that's the smartest thing, to not listen to the people that actually that I want to appeal to, not listening to them to get what they want from me. Like, yeah, that makes no sense. And the funny thing is, the scripture will tell you exactly how to attract a man too. If he was actually a virtuous woman, you would attract men. Because as I said before, women try to make all these lies about all these archetypes that men want, whatever fits them. But then they'll say that we're all 10s, we're all the baddest, we deserve this, we deserve that. You can't sit there and be like, oh, we are the most unprotected. Oh, how are you the most unprotected, but you have the most degrees? How are you the most unprotected, but you have all the money, you have all of the businesses? Oh, we could do all of that we could be the victim and be on top at the same time. Well, that kind of doesn't make any sense, because if somebody was really victimizing you, you wouldn't be able to achieve most of the things that you're achieving. You'd literally have somebody say, I want to start this business. No, you can't. Why? Because you're a girl and I am the patriarchy. When have any of you heard that? That's because that's a lie. A lot of y'all got passes just because you was thick enough. Just because you was cute enough. Just because the guy was thirsty enough. So, nah, miss me with that. But anyways, that's all I'm going to say with this, because I'm not trying to make this too long, but you can watch the rest of the video. Good commentary. And I'm probably going to do a video next on what's happening in the Asian world, because it's funny that people can see all of these things happening, people making all of these videos. You'd be like, oh, okay, so all of these things are not happening. Women will sit there and claim that men are the problem, all this other stuff. But you see worldwide men treating women a certain way because all of the women are acting a certain way. It wouldn't be a topic if it wasn't happening, because I love the women that sit there and say, oh, well, I didn't know about that. Well, I didn't know. I don't listen to that. I'm different. I just be like, BS. That's a lie. I'm like, you can't escape it. In a comment section, you'll see a man say something, and then you'll see women say the most wicked and evil things. So don't tell me you don't be on social media. Like actual righteous women, okay. But all these other women, they be on social media, they be posting all this other stuff, and then try to lie and say, because as I said before, because they can't agree with you, because they're still on female code, all of a sudden they're blind to all the BS women do. They only can know about the victimization that they personally went through a man, or whatever other feminist tropes that they want to go through. That's why I said I don't deal with women like that. And unfortunately, if you end up with a woman and you see she has these tendencies, you have the option to see if you can get it out of her. But overall, a lot of us would not deal, and a lot of men are not dealing with women with any feminism in it, because you have to be low. You have to be really an imbecile, honestly, especially if you're a black woman, because it's like, it's different if you're a white woman, because at least it's like, hey, one of my ancestors that were racist did bring this up and kind of create this. But as a black woman, yeah. It's let's just say that they did a good job creating agents, NPCs, and people with no self-identity, because they got their entire code of ethics from a human. And not only a human, but look at what they worship, look at what they follow. Pretty pathetic. Look at that person's achievements. Pretty pathetic. But anyways, that's all I'm gonna say. Really don't care about people's personal opinions, because facts are facts. These people aren't important in life. So what they created, what is not important in life. And then when you logically look at it, the people who agree with it don't seem to be it's intelligent at all. And then also very hypocritical in their own belief system. If you really all that, and you can do it yourself, then go to a place where only females created stuff and regulate things and exist in that society, if you really think that you're all of that and you're equal. And so they don't even live by their same code of ethics. They don't really live by what they speak. That's not somebody you want to procreate with. You'll just be diluting the intelligence and the potential of your child. So leave those ones alone and just judge them by the way they talk and what they say, because chances are they really believe in that stuff. And as men, you should use that as a red flag that cannot be put down, because some of y'all have let women that I would never have ever dealt with, you've dealt with them. And I'm not just talking about on a vain level and be like, oh, they're busted. Like, no, y'all be dealing with some females where I'd be like, yo, I don't even hit women, but I would be tempted to ball my fist up and cock it back. Like how some of y'all be picking females, and I'd be like, no, they were talking to y'all in that dating phase. I can't do that. I don't do that. Now, unfortunately, we were all trained to put up with a certain level of disrespect from women, but I ain't never let nobody take it as far as putting their hands on me and stuff like that. I've literally told myself, and I've stopped dealing with women if I've gotten to an altercation where I feel like I was about to put hands on them, because as soon as I feel like that, I'm like, that's against my character, that's against my code of conduct. And no, I believe in equal rights and equal lefts, but my whole point is, you're not going to be up in my house, you're not going to be up in my face, you're not going to be doing all these things, especially if you're dumb enough to think that, one, you can just hit a man and he's supposed to just get hit, and then two, that you think you can take a man, and then three, we're supposed to be together and stuff, but you already are messing up. Like, all of these things, women wouldn't get far if men wouldn't let them. So that's why I'll say it like that. I'm not going to put it all on women, but when it comes to a lot of the situations, it's like people picking the wrong people. But definitely, I don't let certain things get a certain distance. And so that's one thing I'll say. Just, you have to really start to think about who you deal with, and actually thinking about if it's something that is a small issue or a big issue. And a lot of people don't think about how some of these issues become bigger issues in the end. You can't cure a feminist, because everything that they see and interact with is going to have women's superiority on it. It's not going to ever be something to be like, hey, this other person has sympathy and empathy with me. This person I should take in consideration. They're not going to think that way. They're going to think, oh, whoa, how dare him go against my womanhood? Oh, I'm the victim. That's literally all of the lenses that they will put over, just to shield themselves from accountability, and also for you making decisions. Because now, if you try to be a leader and you're strong enough, they're the victim. If you don't have enough, if you're not strong enough, then they just overrun you. So it's a lose-lose situation. But those are my thoughts on it, and then I'm gonna do some videos comparing on what's happening in Asia to what's happening now.
Starting next year, robots could give birth instead of women, and a Chinese company is announcing that it would only cost $13,000. Here's what's happening and what it means for you. A Chinese company has just announced the world's first artificial womb, and it looks straight out of sci-fi. The system uses a humanoid robot filled with artificial amniotic fluid and nutrients designed to support a baby from conception to birth. And they're saying that they'll have a prototype ready next year. If this works, it could revolutionize fertility treatments for people that can't have children naturally. But it also raises massive ethical questions around the future of reproduction. So I'm curious, what do you think, and would you use this? Starting next year, robots could give birth.
You like walking by like, oh, I remember.
Okay, I've been doing this for a long time, and this is by far.
Mark, ask anyone. Japan's ambitious central bank basically saved a whole lot of nothing. It accomplished zero. A lot of people who don't understand economics ask, but didn't the Japanese stock market just hit a record again? And wasn't this... Japan pays about the same as staying home. So why would I go suffer in Japan? And Japan's decline right now has no end in sight, because Japan's authorities, caught between doing nothing and backing up in regret, chose, with surgical precision, to floor the gas pedal and drive straight off the cliff. Since last year, they've been pulling all kinds of crazy stunts. And this year, to distract from uncontrollable domestic economic pressure, they've started flirting with geopolitical tensions and even the idea of a localized conflict. Of course, the fantasy was to drag a powerful ally along. But what was the result? The idea was pretty. Except the Japan-United States relationship has always had a clear address for who's in charge. Washington sets the tone, Tokyo follows, It's not a partnership between equals, and the Japanese know it. So, with the US stepping hard into the Middle East, picking a fight with Iran and sending the global cost of oil through the roof, Japan, hostage to energy imports and increasingly choked on raw material supply, takes the worst of it.